Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kendall Ty, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I make my crochet cat beanies. So starting off with supplies, today I'm going to be using medium weight for yarn. I'm going to be using 4 colors, but you can use as many as you want, or you can just use one. The green, blue, and red are by the brand Mainstays, and the yellow is by the brand Red Heart. And although I'm going to be using this size yarn, I'm also going to be letting you guys know how to crochet this hat if you want to use bulky yarn or more than one ball of yarn. For my crochet hook, I'm going to be using a size 4.5 millimeter. I'm going to be using a yarn needle to sew the top of the hat closed, but it's fine if you don't have one because you can use your crochet hook or a smaller crochet hook. And then I'm also going to be using some scissors. Before we get started, if at any point of the video something is confusing or is moving too fast, feel free to slow the video down using YouTube settings or leave a comment down below. Also, some parts of this tutorial might be optional or it just might be a different technique than you're used to seeing, but this is just how I make my cat beanies. So first we're going to go ahead and grab the color that we want at the top because we're going to be working from the top all the way down, and so my first color is going to be red. To start off, you're going to chain however many you need to fit all the way around your head. Feel free to measure it, or if you've ever made a hat before, you can go based off of that number. For example, whenever I do my ruffle hats, bucket hats, and beanies, I do 70 stitches all the way around, so today I'm going to do 70 chains. Before you do your slip knot, make sure that the tail is long enough for you to sew the top of the hat closed at the end, and mine is in between 20 to 25 inches. So of course, there are a bunch of different ways you can make a slip knot. One way is by wrapping the yarn around one of your fingers and just pulling the working yarn through. Or you can do it similar to how you can do a magic circle by wrapping it around your 2 fingers. And then with your hook facing downward, you insert in between your fingers, going under that string on the right and over the string on the left. And as you pull that left string, you'll twist your hook upward and then just grab one to where the yarn meets the hook, and then you can pull it tight. Moving on to the foundation chain, you're just gonna yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and keep doing that until you have your desired number. And like I said, today I'm going to be doing 70. Also, you want to make sure that your chains aren't too tight because for the first row we're going to be inserting a double crochet stitch into each one. So once you're finished with your chain, we're going to be joining the ends together. You want to make sure that everything is facing the same way and that there aren't any twists. And then you're going to bring the ends together and you're going to insert a slip stitch into that first chain we did in that top loop. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through that first loop, and then pull through the second loop. Next, to start the row of double crochet, I'm going to chain 2. So when double crocheting into the foundation chain, you can continue the same way by inserting your double crochets into that top loop, but the way I like to do mine is I actually flip the chain over and I insert my double crochet into these bottom ridges. But this is one of those steps in the tutorial that is optional. You can do whichever one works best for you because at the end of the project, we're going to be sewing this part closed, so it's not going to affect the way the hat turns out. So to make sure that there aren't any gaps in the seam of the hat, I'm going to be inserting my first double crochet into this loop where we just did the slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to insert my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Like I said before, you can continue by inserting your double crochet stitches into the top loop. You would just yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. But like I said before, I'm going to be inserting my double crochet into those loops that's on the bottom of the chain. So I'm going to kind of turn my chain over so that I'm looking at the back of it. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. This chain was actually pretty loose, so it might have been kind of hard to see, so I'm going to show you guys again. This is the top of the chain, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to be inserting my hook into this ridge right here. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. One more time, I'm going to be going into this ridge right here on the bottom of the chain. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I went ahead and did some more stitches so that y'all can see what it looks like when you crochet into those bottom ridges instead of the top loop. It's going to end up looking the same at the top of the row, the way we see those V's, and the bottom of the row. But like I said before, this part is completely optional. Do whatever works best for you because at the end of the hat, we're going to be sewing the bottom closed anyway. So now I'm going to continue on with my double crochet all the way around, and I'll see you guys once I get close to the end. So now that I'm getting towards the end of the row, the chain is a bit twisted right here, but what I'm going to do is just continue crocheting into the back loop like normal. And then once I get to that last chain, I'm going to go back into that top loop. So if you find that your chain ends up being twisted at the end, that's completely fine. Just continue crocheting like normal because like I said, we're going to sew this up at the end anyway. And then even though I just did my last chain, I'm going to insert one more double crochet just to make sure that there's no gap in the seam. So I'm going to go into this loop that's right next to the chain 2 that we did at the beginning. Because I'm going to be switching colors, I'm going to go ahead and grab that second ball of yarn just so that it's ready. And I'm going to insert my hook into the second chain that we did at the beginning. So you want to make sure that both loops are on your hook, and you're going to grab that second ball of yarn. You're going to loop it around your hook, and then you're going to pull through and then pull through again. And then you're going to take that previous color and you're going to tighten it so that this part is not too loose. Now, as I'm getting ready to do my chain 2 for the next row, I'm going to be crocheting over the tails. So I'm going to take the working yarn of the new color and I'm going to make sure that it's underneath both of these tails. So the short tail and the old color. And then I'm going to tighten it a bit and I'm going to do my chain 2. Now we've made it to another optional part in the tutorial. I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my seam method and just the way that I try to prevent there from being any noticeable holes right next to the chain 2. So if you want to, you can just go ahead and insert your first double crochet into the previous double crochet from the first row. You would just yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Making sure that you're crocheting over those tails. But to do the seam method that I was talking about, I'm going to yarn over, and instead of going into this first double crochet, I'm going to insert my hook into the place where we just did the color change and that slip stitch from before. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, then I'm going to yarn over again, and then I'm going to finish off in this first double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So by doing that, I added what looks like an extra stitch in between that chain 2 and that first double crochet, and you can kind of see the difference in between the first row and the second row. But like I said before, this is completely optional. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know down below, or just feel free to do the previous method that I showed before. I'm actually going to show you guys one more time just to help if there's any confusion. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into the place where we just did that color change in the slip stitch from the previous row, and this is actually the top of that chain 2 from the previous row. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again. I'm going to insert my hook into that first double crochet, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Next, I'm going to continue crocheting over the tails, and I'm going to do regular double crochet all the way around. Once I've crocheted over the tail in that previous color, I'm going to go ahead and cut them. Then I'm going to pull on these new tails just a bit and I'm going to continue crocheting over them. And then when I get a couple stitches down, I'm actually going to pull the project back this way, and that's just going to make sure that those tails are really hidden. So now I'm going to continue around doing double crochet into each stitch, and I'll see you once I get back to the end to close the row. So now that I made it to that last double crochet, we're going to be mirroring what I did at the beginning of the row at the end of the row. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that double crochet, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again. And if you can see where this small loop of red is connecting to the yellow, I'm going to be inserting my hook into that loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. One more time. I'm going to insert my hook into that last double crochet of the row, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over. Then I'm going to insert my hook into that small red loop, which is in between that chain 2 from the beginning and this double crochet. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And if you find that after inserting your hook into that loop, it kind of loosens the project, what I like to do is just pull out that tail from the previous row. And then when you pull on it, it'll tighten everything back together. And then I'll just have to make sure that I hide this tail again. Moving on to the 3rd row, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my next color. I'm gonna do the same thing as before, and I'm gonna insert my hook into the top of that chain 2 from the beginning. I'm gonna grab my new yarn, loop it around my hook, and then I'm gonna pull it through, and then pull through again to do a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna tighten that previous yellow working yarn to make sure that everything right here is closed up. Then to ensure that I'm crocheting over the tails, I'm going to take the new working yarn, this color green, and I'm going to put it underneath the tail and the previous working yarn. And then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to be doing my seam the way we did it in the 2nd row for the entire project, so I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into this space where we just connected the new color, which is the top of the chain 2. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to make sure that everything is pulled tight, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into the top of this combined double crochet from the previous row. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 3. Next, I'm going to continue crocheting over the tails. And then I'm going to cut the previous color. And I'm going to pull on the tails just to crochet over them for one more stitch. And then once I'm a few stitches down, I can pull the project just to make sure that those tails are hidden. Then I'm going to continue crocheting all the way around until we get to the end of the row. So now that I'm at the last stitch, which is that combined double crochet from the previous row, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into that small loop that connects the chain 2 from this row and the last stitch of the previous row. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 3. And like I said before, if this part of the project ends up coming loose, you can just pull on those tails and it'll tighten everything back up. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my 4th and final color, and I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the chain 2. I'm going to loop the new color around my hook and then pull through doing a slip stitch. Then I'm going to pull on the previous color to make sure that this part of the project isn't too loose. Then to make sure that I'm crocheting over the tails, I'm going to bring them to the front of the project, and I'm going to tighten the new color, and I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the chain 2 where we just inserted the new color. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into that combined double crochet from the previous row. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. I'm going to pull on the previous color just to make sure that nothing's too loose. And then I'm going to keep crocheting over the tails. I'm going to go ahead and cut that previous color. I'm going to pull on those tails a bit and then keep crocheting over them. And then once I've gotten a few stitches down, I'm going to pull on the project just to make sure that those tails are hidden. Then once again, I'm going to keep crocheting all the way around, and I'll see you guys once it's time to close up this row. So now that I'm back at the last stitch, I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into that combined double crochet from the previous row. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to yarn over again, and then I'm going to insert my hook into that small loop that's connecting the combined double crochet from the previous row and that chain 2. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3. Then once again, I'm going to insert my hook into the top of that chain 2 from the beginning, And then I'm gonna grab my next color, which is gonna be red, loop it onto my hook, and then pull through doing a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna tighten the previous color. And I'm actually going to stop right here because you're going to just repeat the same thing until you have enough rows. For my cat beanies, I normally like to do somewhere between 20 and 22 rows. This hat has 22. If you're doing 1 or 2 colors, you'll just keep going all the way until you have as many as you want. But if you're doing 3 or more colors and you want the pattern to be continued through the brim, what you're going to have to do is mirror the colors once you get to the fold of the brim. So for example, when I flip the brim back up, you'll see that the pattern goes dark blue, light blue, white, dark blue, light blue, white, and then once you get down to the brim, it continues dark blue, light blue, white, dark blue, light blue, white. If you don't really care about the pattern being continued onto the brim, then you can also just keep crocheting until you have as many rows as you like. But because I want my pattern to be continuous through the brim, I'm gonna crochet until I get down to the 16th row, and then I'll be back to start the 17th row. Okay, you guys, so I finished my 16th row and I'm about to start the 17th now. So when I flip the hat over, this is gonna end up being the top of the hat that we sew closed, and then this is gonna be the full length of the hat. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start the brim, which is gonna fold on top. So when looking at this hat, the 17th row is gonna end up being this row down at the base of the brim. So mine is gonna be red. And then once I go into the rest of the brim, like I said, it's gonna be mirrored. So I'm gonna do blue, green, yellow, red, and then I might do one more row of blue if I want the brim to be longer. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna finish out my hat. Like I said before, if you have 1 or 2 colors, or if you don't really care about the pattern, then you don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the brim, and then I'll be back when it's time to sew in the tails. Okay, you guys, so I just got to the end of my last row. I'm gonna go ahead and insert my hook into the top of that chain 2, and I'm gonna just do a slip stitch. And then I'm gonna chain 1, and I'm gonna grab my scissors. I'm gonna cut that yarn, and then I'm just gonna pull it through and tighten it. Then I'm gonna go ahead and sew in this tail. And I normally just use my crochet hook to do that. And then I'll just feed it through the bottom of these double crochets. So just like the other hat, I ended up doing a total of 22 rows. I did 16 rows for the body of the hat, 5 rows for the brim of the hat. Then this row in the middle is gonna be at the base of the brim. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn everything inside out. And I'm gonna position it so that the tail is on the right side. Then I'm gonna grab my yarn needle and I'm gonna feed the tail through. And then from here, I'm just gonna line up the loops at the top and I'm gonna sew the entire thing closed. And then like I said at the beginning, if you don't have a yarn needle, it's completely fine. You can just insert your crochet hook into the loops and then pull the tail through. Now that I'm at the end, I'm gonna just go ahead and use my crochet hook to make a knot. And then I'll do another one just to make sure it's secure. I'm gonna grab my yarn needle one more time just to sew in this tail. Honestly, this part is optional as well because sometimes I'll just cut this tail short and you won't be able to see it. I'm just gonna go ahead and feed this through the top. Then I'm gonna flip the hat back right side out and we're all finished. I just like to flatten everything out, and then I also check the seam to see if there's any tails that are sticking out, and if so, I'll just tuck them back in. And then I'll make sure that the colors are lined up correctly for the brim. And we have a crochet cat beanie. I honestly love crocheting these cat beanies because you can have so much fun with the different colors and the stripes. You can use more than one ball of yarn, you can use bulky yarn, and the pattern is fairly simple. If you have any questions or if you need clarification, be sure to comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you would like to purchase any custom or pre-made hats from my Etsy, the link is in the description box along with all of my socials. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!